Okay, so in today's setup guide, we are taking a look at ZINC. And to be honest with you, I was unaware what ZINC was up until recently when somebody told me they're having issues with it. So what I've done is investigated ZINC and I've identified the problem where you're actually going wrong with this. But in addition to just running ZINC emulator, we can actually use Mame emulator. And in many ways, the Mame emulation is actually better for ZINC games. And if you're new to ZINC and you're just like me, what the hell is ZINC? Then we're going to explain this in this video, but basically it's a PlayStation arcade emulator to some extent, as well as emulating some other platforms of that era. So if you want to check out some seriously good arcade games today, check this one out. Okay, so before I start today's ZINC in Retrobat setup guide, if you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss upcoming retro emulation content that I upload almost every day nowadays. So we're looking at ZINC today, and for a while now, people's been asking me how to set this up, and to be honest with you, I wasn't sure what ZINC was until this came to my attention. So I've looked into it, and the issue people's getting out there very commonly is you're going to open up a game within Retrobat, and it's going to bounce back, and you're going to get an error. There's no emulator installed. So we found a solution around this, so what we're going to do first is just head into Retrobat. Okay, so once you're inside Retrobat, we're going to go to the Retrobat icon, and this is where you can download all your standalone emulators. So right at the bottom, you're going to find ZINC. If you just download, it will do that automatically. And install emulator, so yes. And that's going to bring up ZINC front end 2.2, but don't worry about this, we can just back out. Now what we're going to do next is just exit out of Retrobat. Okay, so once we've got that emulator installed inside of Retrobat, we're going to go back to the Retrobat shortcut, right click on it, open file location, and we're going to go to my favourite place, BAT GUI, that's BAT Graphical User Interface.exe. We're going to go to System List, and drop down System at the top. Now, like I always say, if you can't see this, check out my fully comprehensive Retrobat setup guide. It's quite likely you're missing some files during the initial installation of Retrobat. If you do see this, we can drag right down and you're going to go to ZINC. And under extensions, we can see that our games need to be in .zip file extension. Now we got no RetroArch Libretto cores to be supporting your games for ZINC. So that's why we've had to download the ZINC emulator in Retrobat. So we're going to close out of here. And what we're going to do next is actually go into the ROMs folder in the Retrobat directory. And if we scroll right down to the bottom, we're going to find ZINC. Open up ZINC. Now let me talk to you about games. Now the reason it bounces back through Retrobat saying there's no emulator installed is quite likely that you don't actually have BIOS files for your game. So in my new folder, and as a little test, what I've done is got Street Fighter X 2 Plus. And as we can see, the zipped folder just here, this is a game itself. And this particular game requires 2 BIOS files to run. So CPZM1 .zip and CPZN2.zip. Now, without BIOS files with your ZINC games, they're not going to run, and that's why Retrobat is booting you back into Retrobat. They're not working. So what we're going to do is just drag these 3 folders, or zip folders, into the ROM ZINC directory. Now we've done that, what we're going to do is go back into Retrobat. So once we're inside Retrobat, we're going to just scroll until we find ZINC, and here it is. So here's our game. So like I always say, grab some artwork in the preview video. So to do that, go into the main menu by pressing Start on your controller, and we're going to go down to Scraper, and just go to Scrape Now. And if you're unsure how to use Scraper, check out again my full comprehensive setup guide for Retrobat. Okay, so scrape and finish, update game list. So start, main menu, game settings, update game list, and yes. Okay, so we've got the cover art now for the game, where we got a preview video. So if you go to view options first, just go down to advanced system options. Now the problem is, I find with ZINC, is that it runs really well, but you're going to have issues with your controller. ZINC front end itself that we downloaded is known to have some issues with controls on particular games. So there is a way around this, but to be honest, I think it's going to be worth the second method of playing ZINC games. But anyways, inside this menu, if you do want to take your chances and look at setting up a controller for ZINC Emulator, then under general settings you're going to find controller configuration method. Now you've got a selection here to use, and trust me, I've tried everything for this Street Fighter game and it's not working. Or to repeat myself, it is working, but my D-pad doesn't work whatsoever. So if we come out of here, we've also got controls, and control scheme, again, just like the previous controller options, I've literally tried everything in combinations as well, including Street Fighter, and it doesn't work. So also got use D-pad. So what I'm going to do now is actually boot up the game so you can see it works, and we can reach a certain point, but D-pad isn't working. Okay, so just exit out of there. Like I said, for sure it works, and I'm quite sure there is particular games which will work fine with a controller. So it's worth experimenting if you really want to use the ZINC emulator. But I'm going to suggest using Mame. Now the reason Mame is better is that it's going to support these games and also give us a better video quality of picture too. So if we exit out of Retrobat, all we need to be doing to do this is go back into the Retrobat directory, open file location, and that game, along with its BIOS zip files, what we're going to do is just highlight and copy 3 of those files. Now, like I say, some ZINC games will maybe have just one BIOS zip to accompany the actual game, but in this case, this one needs 2. So you can look up which you need online. And what we're going to do then with these is go into the main folder in ROMs. Now what I'm going to do is just go into the main folder, and what I've done is pasted those games I've just got from the ZINC folder. So with those in place, we're going to open up Retrobat again. Okay, so once we open up Retrobat again, we're now going to find Mame. If we go inside of Mame, we can then download the artwork in the preview video by using the scraper method. But the beauty is with Mame is that we got no issues with controllers. D-pad works fine, everything works fine. If I open up the game now,
Round 1, fight!
and as we can see, that's working brilliant. There's nothing wrong with the controllers whatsoever. It does look a little bit bad though, you know, it's a very old game, and what we can do is actually make this look really cool. So to do this, what we're going to do is just drop down to updates and downloads, and if we go to the Bezel project, you should find Mame here. If you've not downloaded this, download Mame. And what we're going to do next, once you've downloaded this, is just go back into view options, advanced system options, under shader set, I'm going to put this to curvature to give it a very old school CRT look. Under decorations, we're going to put the Bezel project on, which you've just downloaded. Now, under game aspect ratio, if you're using bezels or decorations, the best way to do this is by keeping it on auto, which automatically detects 4:3. If you go to a full-size screen or 16:9, then a lot of your image is going to be cut out. So just keep this to auto or just select 4:3. Now, the next thing we're going to do to clear up this game with all its polygons everywhere is if we drop down the integer scaling, just make sure this one's either on auto or on. Vertical sync, we're going to put this one to yes. That just kills any screen tear that we might see in the games. Now, the beauty with using Mame is under internal resolution, we can actually bump this up to 4K, providing you've got an adequate computer to be doing this. Now, under visual rendering, video filters, we can add scan lines, anything really there, just experiment with those. I'm going to leave it to auto, and smooth games, we're going to smooth this one out by selecting auto or on. Now let me just say, if we go to drivers, video, if you find games which are supposedly supposed to boot and be playable, if they're giving you a black screen or whatever, then video, you need to be selecting another back-end driver here. Something like Vulkan will suffice, but OpenGL works fine for me. Now with those video settings put in place, let's check out Street Fighter again.
Bronca. Round one, fight!
And as we can see, that looks pretty awesome. Now, if we go back into ZINC, we're going to compare the video settings. So just scroll over to find ZINC. Now, if we go to view options within the ZINC emulator, go down to advanced system options. As you can see, you're very limited to video options you got here. We can't even upscale internally to 4K. So for that reason alone, as well as configuration problems with controllers being set up, then by far I seriously recommend you use Mame for this. And that's it for today's ZINC, Mame and Retrobat setup guide. Like I said, it's more of a comparison video. I had to investigate this after people have been saying they've had issues setting this up, things aren't working properly. So I've done the best of my abilities, and as we can see, Mame is the clear winner here. So if we look at statistics on Mame emulation and ZINC emulation, ZINC very closely emulates games better. But having said that, with Mame, using Mame in Retrobat, you're not having a headache sorting out configurations for controllers. So anyways, if you liked today's video, make sure to hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss any upcoming retro emulation content. And also join me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. But until next time, stay retro.